Karen writes, I have a pursuer who won't seem to admit that she is resentful at always having to be the one to initiate repairs with the husband. She wants him to come to her, but she's afraid of how far apart they became, so she rescues and then harbors resentment. I feel like she's going to need to at first admit how angry she is before she can get to the more vulnerable feelings of aloneness and wanting to be seen. How do I get her to really own her anger?
Anger is scary to own.
It's so scary. Yeah. She writes her final question. How do I evoke it so she can feel it?
I think I would encourage Karen and all of us to have more process conversations to see what that client reports and shares about how it would be to go closer to anger. And I could hear myself say something like, I'm just a caring outsider here, but I can't pretend that I don't see or hear anger coming from you. Or when I put myself in your shoes, feeling anger myself in your situation, could we talk about your relationship with anger? How does my wondering even feel? Is there anger here? Mainly, you want to go where the client is experientially. We're not going to get very far, although I think Karen's instinct is spot on. We're not going to get very far trying to get our clients to admit anything.
Even if we're right.
Even if we're right. And I'm sure Karen's right. But it's a little bit of what will feel more humanistic to the client is just making space and coming alongside and wondering and being more tentative. Even if I'm right, it's not where the client is. And I need to go where they are affectively. I need to go where they are experientially. That's my job. And so if I'm Karen, I want to give Karen permission to say, it feels like anger, but maybe that's not the right word for you. Maybe that's not how it feels on the inside. And so Karen validates her own instinct by putting it into the room as a conjecture. But then we quickly accept the client's words and the client describing where they are. And if anger is not it, what's a good word? Sometimes it's just the word and they'll say, I think we said this yesterday, super duper frustrated. Oh, you're frustrated. You're not angry. It's frustrated. Or like Karen's question included the word resentment. Resentment can be hard to own because it leaves us often feeling helpless and immobilized. What do I do with all these resentments? They're about other people and other people's behavior that I can't control. Yeah, so I would zoom out and make conjectures, but of course, all conjectures in EFT are tentative. See where this client is affectively with herself and go there. Because we actually don't need to work with secondary anger. If you can go where the client is and it's a different place, even though you think it's anger, you don't have to evoke secondary anger. That can be pretty risky to do from an escalation perspective. And maybe what Karen's wondering is, how do I evoke primary anger? That will come as you find out where your client really is affectively. In that soft, slow, and low way, you can wonder about, and your protest?
Yeah.
Help me know how you protested, what was so painful for you. And the anger is non-blaming.
So we really have to prioritize or privilege the client's experience of themselves, even as it's constricted and rigid and parts are disowned. We still sort of accept the way they view themselves and reflect it and be with them in that experience of themselves. And as we break their isolation by being with them, the new parts of their experience will come forward.
Yeah. I last echo, Jen, that if a client is so far from their anger, but the clinician feels like the anger is a big block, then you can make that process observation with the client. Like, I'm struggling to get close enough to your intrapsychic experience. I don't know. I'm not sure, but sometimes it feels like there's a wall of something that blocks me from coming closer. Could I talk process with you? And so the clinician just reflects their observation and their experience of trying to go close to the client's inner world, but then I'm held out, and anger will hold us out. And so when you put it in process terms of the experience of trying to come alongside and feeling like I can't get close enough to you to actually be helpful, then we have to reflect that.
That's lovely. I really like that. We can say what our experience. She can almost say some version of her question
to
the client.
Right. And that's how we work with blocks.
Right. Tentative, not on some, looking down on a platform or whatever, pedestal. Yeah.
Detached. I've never been angry before. Right. Not that Karen is saying that at all.
No.
Not at all. I'm just thinking of myself having felt that way sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. For more hot tips on emotionally focused therapy, go to the EFT Cafe www.thecoachingcafe.com and sign up for our newsletter where you will receive short little clips like the one you just watched.